so I got one question, and the whole reason why I got you guys on here is because I have this one question. So, what is the cream of the crop, state of the art, best practice for RAG? What's like the 80-20 for RAG? Like if tomorrow I want to make 5 changes, what should those changes be?
If you want to, well, I mean, I think so. There are a number of like. Actually, this is a great question. Hi, I'm going to answer it probably not the way that you're hoping I'm going to answer it, which is like straightforward. I've got the magic secrets for you, like the 5 keys to like building RAG. One of the challenges that I think we have with RAG, and one of the things that we're trying to solve for folks, is that there's so much happening and so many emerging things. So, you know, for like a while, there was a thing called Flare, and Flare was like, oh, you know, this is like the secret to doing really good RAG. And then there was like re-ranking, which has still got some legs behind it, and people are doing re-ranking. And then lately there's been a thing called CRAG, or corrective retrieval augmented generation. And as practitioners, it is really, really hard for anybody to keep up with the overwhelming number of new papers that are coming out on arXiv. So part of what we're trying to do is we're trying to take that cognitive burden from folks and to say that we will implement a lot of these things for you and give you an experimentation framework where you can see, like, maybe CRAG works great in some use cases, but does that mean it'll work great for you, for your use case? Not necessarily. And so part of what we're trying to do is like help you figure out, like, of the state of the art things that are coming out, and which is changing like every single day, which of those things are actually going to be meaningful for you and to give you improved results. I'd say things you want to look at, just to at least give you like some concrete part of answer to your question. I'd say looking at things like at re-ranking of results that come back are going to give you are going to be important in terms of making sure you have the best context. And obviously,
query rewriting. Yeah, I think query rewriting, like at the beginning and end of RAG, I think doing query rewriting, which means take the query or whatever your prompt is and basically ask an LLM to rewrite it so that it better reflects the kind of thing that you want to retrieve. So you get a better match. That's the front end, and at the back end, like Chris says, a re-ranking. Now you get the results back. Like, you know, if you have a large corpus of information, there's probably duplicate information in there. And similarity search is simple. It says, how similar are these things? If there's 5 identical pieces of text and they all are highly similar to the question, then you're going to get 5 duplicate pieces of text, and that doesn't really help things. So re-ranking can help sort that out and make sure that you're not repeating yourself in what you're telling the LLM or what you're giving to the LLM. Sorry, Chris.
No, I think that was good.
Yeah.
Awesome. You sound like my business advisor. It's like, well, depends, right?
It depends. Yeah, everything depends.
We tried to give you at least something concrete on there. I know that's like the most unsatisfactory answer for a technologist ever. Looks like there's a question in chat from Ajay. Great presentation. Love to get together. I have to jump off. Oh, okay. Not a question. Just thanks, Ajay. Love to follow up with you after this. We'll reach out.
Yeah. So the floor is open for questions. Anybody wants to jump on, feel free to unmute yourself and speak away.
One other note I'll add to your question, Hi, is, you know, and this is why we have the generation of the questions of the documents. One thing I found when I was experimenting a lot with RAG systems is that, you know, it's the data. The data is the most important thing to get the response back, right? And if you don't actually have the right answers in the data set, then there's no hope, right? So, you know, I think that's important to look at. You know, what data are you actually putting in the vector database that you're trying to retrieve from? And that's kind of the idea behind generating questions. Is like, it's pretty obvious. Like, those are good questions that your data can answer because we generated them from the data. But if those aren't the right kind of questions you expect your users to be asking, then you have a problem, right, with your input data.
I do have a quick question. So I know like the examples you guys show were mostly like text corpus, PDFs, like regular corporate documents. But what about like code bases? Like what about like code text? Well, how would that be different in terms of RAG?
So I think there's a lot of similarity. There are both LLMs as well as embedding models that are purpose built for code, right? So you wouldn't. In fact, this is sort of an emerging trend we see in general. It's probably the first example we saw where things would split off between text and code, and now we're even seeing sort of more branching off of embedding models into things that are specialized for like finance docs or for legal docs or for so forth. So I think you want to make sure that you're using sort of the right models that have been built to deal with those type of corpuses. And if you don't, you're gonna have a bad time. You're not gonna get very good results back. Yeah.
I'd also say that there's different chunking, like because code, there's obvious semantic breaks in code that's triggered by the syntax of the code. There are specific chunking strategies that you can use that are tailored to the code base, and then you should use those because that will get you better chunks rather than sort of random chunks. And so like popular frameworks, and we haven't added this yet in, but that's on our roadmap, is to be able to add in chunking strategies that are tuned to Python or tuned to JavaScript or whatever language you're using.
Makes sense. Yeah. There's a question in the chat. I'm just going to read it out. So will the user interaction with Vectorize.io be unchecking different data sources and evaluating the results of automatic ranking returned?
So this is like the retrieval endpoint, right? Right now, the answer is no. We don't. We're not in your runtime path of your RAG application. You go right to your vector database. However, Chris and I are talking about that. If you have a use case around this, I'd actually love to talk to you about your thoughts on this, Jalen, to get some user feedback, because so it's a topic that we're actively discussing as part of our roadmap and when and how we sort of add some features around this. So would love to dive a little bit deeper into that with you. But in the short term, no, you'll go right to your vector database just like you would today.
Great, thank you. Yeah, the question was because I didn't get enough time to read all the things that you showed in what came back as a ranking and the results. So okay. Yeah, that was a kind of a question for that. Yeah, okay, we can check back later for questions.
All right, sounds good. And I think we're a little over high, so probably a good time for us to wrap up.
Yeah, thank you guys for hopping on. Thank you for showing us Vectorize. You guys have been working on this for like the past couple of months, right? So it's very early stage.
Yep. So we do have a wait list where the wait list is open. If you go to vectorize.io, that is our website. Feel free to add yourself to the wait list as soon as it is available. We'll be happy to give the Ottawa Tinkerers, AI Tinkerers, early access to it. And the other thing we would really appreciate, we are on Twitter, we are on LinkedIn. If you guys would give us a follow, that would be great. We always want to keep up to date with the latest that's happening, and we'll try to publish out useful stuff that you guys would enjoy. So I would appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, where can people find you on Twitter? What's your handle?
Yeah, so let me just pull it up really quick because we're wrapping up. So we're at Twitter, we're Vectorize.io, all one word, and same thing on LinkedIn. You can just look for Vectorize, and you'll see our little black box with a V with brackets around it. That's just our logo, and that's how you know it's us.
Sweet, awesome, thank you.
Well, thanks everyone. Really,
thanks everyone.
The talk today. Have a great rest of your day.